Yes. Good evening. Good evening. This is Your Health Matters. This is Dr. Gerald Thompson. And the topic I'm bringing up today, you've heard before. Matter of fact, I'm going to be repeating this topic over and over again because more and more it is becoming important. And I have touched on this on the surface. Now I need to go into some detail. For all of you who have high blood pressure, why is your blood pressure high, getting higher? Why is that so? For those of you who are developing diabetes, why? What are some of the reasons why you are developing diabetes? Some of you who either now may be developing signs of dementia or are destined to develop dementia, why are you destined to develop dementia, Alzheimer's, and so forth? For some men, why have you developed erectile dysfunction? Why are you experiencing erectile dysfunction? Well, I could go on. And let me say in 1999, some scientists discovered that the inside of your blood vessel, the inner lining of your blood vessel, the part that actually touches your blood. You know, if I could put it in a different way, if you have a tube, and the inside of that tube represents the lining of that tube, I want you to consider, I'm going to use this simple card. You see it? This is, let's say, a blood vessel inside your body. It could be the blood vessel going up into your neck to your brain. It could be a blood vessel taking blood to your arms. It could be a blood vessel taking blood down to your legs or to your heart or your kidneys. And the inside of the blood vessel, the inside of your blood vessel are some special cells. They're the lining of your blood vessel. We call them endothelium, but let's not get caught up in names. The lining, the inner lining of your blood vessel produces a chemical compound. You hear that? The lining of the inside of your blood vessel produces a special chemical compound called nitric oxide. This was only discovered 25 years ago in 1999. The person who discovered it also won a Nobel Prize for medicine and science for discovering this. Now, what does this nitric oxide do to your blood vessel? What does it do? Well, look at this. If your blood vessel is like this, when nitric oxide is released from the inside, it causes the blood vessel to get bigger. The blood vessel is small, it causes the blood vessel to get bigger. Look at that. And when the blood vessel is bigger, more blood can flow through. And if more blood can go through, then more oxygen, more nutrients, more good stuff, that's inside the blood can reach the tissues. However, we've observed that by the time men start to reach 45, 50, 55 years old, the nitric oxide level that's produced in the inside of your blood vessel starts to become diminished, really become diminished. And when your nitric oxide level becomes diminished, whether you're a man or a woman, guess what? It causes your blood vessels to remain tight, tight, and small. And if you could ever boost your nitric oxide level, it will open them up again and cause blood to flow through. But if not, they will remain tight and narrow and small. And guess what? As a result, that blood pressure not being able to get through, blood not being able to get through causes your blood pressure to go up. It's classical. Blood pressure goes up because the blood vessel is too tight, it's too constricted, Whereas if the blood vessel relaxes and gets bigger, more blood is able to flow through and the pressure also falls down. Now, what they found out too is that in the case of a male penis, it's the same thing. If the blood vessels to the penis is constricted, then not enough blood is able to go through. Whereas if nitric oxide levels is high, then the blood vessel opens up and expands. More blood flows into the penis, I've got to say that, and engorges the penis, and the person is able to have an erection. Very fascinating that scientists were able to make this link. And as a result, drugs like Viagra and Cialis were developed. These drugs help to boost your nitric oxide level and so help to sustain and maintain an erection because blood is able to flow into the penis. Isn't that fascinating? Now, I want to tell you something else. You may think that it's just blood vessels alone, but do you know inside your intestines, your intestine has a lot of white blood cells. Most of your immune system lies inside your intestine. Why? Because, boy, that's the most dangerous place for germs. A whole ton of germs in your intestines, and you don't want them to leak out in your body from a tear or puncture or anything like that. So the immune system is there to protect it. But guess what? Nitric oxide does something very, very unusual to our immune system and white blood cells. It helps to prevent white blood cells from going crazy. It helps to prevent your immune system from being a bull in a china shop and just attacking everything. It helps to calm and tame the immune system so that it is responding to the right type of things and not overreacting all the time to simple things. A germ here, a germ there, and it goes crazy. No, it has to do things properly. Now, do you know that nitric oxide also helps to regulate insulin? And it helps cells to utilize and utilize the insulin properly, and so. Now, insulin cannot work properly unless nitric oxide is present. It's an amazing discovery. Amazing discovery. Now, do you know nitric oxide? I said nitric oxide is in your blood vessels. I say nitric oxide is in the blood vessels of a male penis. Nitric oxide is in the intestines. I've said that. Well, guess what? Nitric oxide is also in the brain. And in the brain, nitric oxide serves some very important function. Boy, this amazing chemical they discovered in 1999. Amazing. And it helps to maintain your memory function. Nitric oxide in your brain helps to maintain your memory function. So can you imagine if your nitric oxide level starts to drop, what happens? Can you imagine what happens? Well, let me tell you. It starts to trigger dementia and Alzheimer's. So we found that people with low nitric oxide levels in their body, they start developing high blood pressure. Low nitric oxide levels in males, they have problems with erectile dysfunction. Low nitric oxide levels in the human body, because it is so important in the immune system, it helps to control the immune system and prevent it from just going crazy, wild. It makes sure that your immune system doesn't behave wild, that your immune system will wild up. And additionally, the nitric oxide is important in helping to control dementia. So all these things are very important. And you should know that some processed foods also contain large amounts of what we call artificial nitrates. Some foods, I'm talking about like sausages, luncheon meat, some bacons. Boy, do you know that those processors inject those kind of meats with something called sodium nitrate to keep the meat looking a little red, to make it look as if there's still maybe a little bit of freshness and blood in it, to make it also preserve better. That's what nitric oxide is used for. Unfortunately, they've found that nitric oxide is linked to certain type of blood cancers, you know? And because it's such a big preservative, somehow they can't agree to get it out of certain foods. They only tell you if you don't want to eat it, you don't eat it. But for unsuspecting persons who eat a lot of luncheon meat, a lot of bacon that isn't processed right, you gotta watch out, you know? Now, when you, on the other hand, eat natural nitrates, foods that contain natural nitrates, guess what happens? It boosts your nitric oxide level. So let me say it again. They have artificial sodium nitrate. It's a nitrate. And they inject that into certain foods as a preservative. Stay away from that. On the other hand, there's some natural nitrates found in a fair amount of foods. Let me give you some example of foods. Now, our body uses nitrates to make nitric oxide. And food containing high amount of nitrates, those nitrates, when you eat them, eventually will be converted and help build up back your nitric oxide level. Strangely enough, there are some very important substances in your body. Let me say vitamin C, vitamin E, something vitamin A. And these are what they call antioxidants. These are antioxidants. And in certain other foods, vitamin A, vitamin C, there's another one called guaiacetine. Have you heard of that, Kamal? Yeah? Yeah? It's spelled Quercetin. And it's found in onions, especially red onions. And there's also another substance, another antioxidant called Resveratrol. Let me say it right. Resveratrol. Did I say it properly? Resveratrol. Resveratrol. Why am I saying this? Well, guess what? Red wine has in resveratrol. And they found that resveratrol is also like an antioxidant. All of these antioxidants, once the nitric oxide is formed, it helps to make the nitric oxide stay around a little longer. You know what I mean? It doesn't break down as quick. So antioxidants prevent the nitric oxide from being oxidized. Antioxidants prevent good stuff from being oxidized. They're antioxidants. And vitamin C, vitamin E, guaiacetine, and resveratrol found in red wine are good antioxidants. But hear what? It's best to get your nitrates that will be converted to nitric oxide from food. And I want you to know that uncooked foods has the most resveratrol. What about uncooked foods? I'm not necessarily. I mean that if you have to boil it and cook it and all that kind of stuff, it helps to destroy some of the nitrate. But if you're able to eat like a fruit or drink it, make a juice out of it or so, then it is better that way. Although there's one thing I should say. Fried vegetables are even better. Now, what am I talking about fried vegetables? These days people are frying balenge. People as eggplant. People are frying a number of different things. And they're finding that the antioxidant, that the nitrate level it produces is much higher. Now let's go down. Have you ever heard, we don't tend to grow them here in St. Vincent that much, or maybe at all, because people I know are listening in the United States, I want to mention this. The foods that I'm going to mention right now have very high nitrate levels. And I'm starting off with radishes. You know what a radish is? Come on. Yes. A radish, I probably should have pictures to show you, but I don't really have that. But radishes, if you're living in North America, England, you would know what radishes are. They look like little turnips, or they look like little small potatoes, but they're not potatoes. And they are very high in nitrates. And you could gain a real power pack of nitrates. And when the nitrates get into your body, what does it produce? Nitric oxide. So eating foods high in nitrates will allow your body to produce nitric oxide. Nitric oxide, what will it do? It will keep your blood pressure down. It will help control your insulin and so control your diabetes. It will prevent you from progressing more to Alzheimer's and dementia. It helps to control your immune system from overreacting. And, nitric oxide is excellent. The whole process of keeping your blood pressure down in the rest of your body, but in the case of your penis, it's able to engorge your penis. Now, Kamal, am I allowed to say that on radio? Kamal say I'm able to say that. Yes, nitric oxide is able to engorge your penis. And that's where Viagra and Cialis and those others work, by boosting your nitric oxide level for a period of about 15, 20 minutes. And as a result, you're able to have some men are able to have that erection. Unfortunately, there's some men that there's only precious memories. You understand? There's only precious memories. I've got to say that. Let me apologize if I offend anybody by saying that. Now, I've said radishes, but do you know, from a local point of view, the food that also has very high nitrate is beet. Beet. And guess what? Beet juice is great too. Beet juice is great too. And beet also has a bit of vitamin A in it. So they say that you eat beet, it can raise your nitrate levels by 21% in just 45 minutes. That's good. Now, the next one with a really high amount is spinach. We got two types of spinach here, a red one and a green one, and they're all good. And they have high levels of nitrates in these very leafy greens. They also have a lot of vitamin C and vitamin E, and high in magnesium, high in folate. Spinach is really great. Now, I want to get into some others that are high, but not very high. Let me see. Broccoli, like leafy greens like celery, kale, arugula, all these things. The arugula you may not find that much, but kale is really good. Celery is also kind of a winter vegetables, but boy, broccoli, you can get broccoli here. You know what I mean? Broccoli is no big deal in getting it. Wherever you are, broccoli, celery, kale, arugula, all these have high nitrate levels. Remember I said radishes, beet, and spinach has very high levels? Well, broccoli, kale, celery, and arugula have high levels. Now, another fruit, or some fruits that also have high nitrate levels, are pomegranate and mangoes, having high amount of them. And these things are important. Now, the berries, you don't want to get berries. I'm talking about raspberry, strawberry, all of them are good, right? But raspberries in particular has moderate nitrate levels. Excellent. Then we get into some other stuff. Garlic. Matter of fact, garlic has a special substance in it called allicin. Garlic has allicin. Come on, this could be a nice clip, so and so forth. Garlic has allicin, and allicin is a real good. It's able to increase and boost some of the things inside your body that helps to process the nitrate. And then let's mention eggplant. And I mentioned to you, eggplant can be fried, and they found that the nitrate levels in fried belinge is higher than raw belinge. Raw eggplant, I don't know why. I gotta find out and dig a little deeper. Let me go to walnuts, dark chocolate, honey. All these having good amounts of nitrate. And then I'm talking vegetables all the time, yes, but fish and poultry also having good nitrate levels. And then cantaloupe and watermelon, they're having other substances that can be converted back into nitrates. So this is I'm bringing a particular point to you that we could do a lot with our diet. We could do a great deal with the foods that we eat. I know a lot of people are on 4, 5 blood pressure medications. And they're taking them multiple times a day because some of them are medications that you take in the morning, you take in the afternoon. If you don't take it in the afternoon, the pressure goes back up. You know? So that's really, really critical, really important, how nitrates, we can extract them out of our food, and that could really carry us a long way in helping to avert and prevent certain diseases that seem to be affecting a lot of people. Let's take a break and come back and we'll dig a little deeper into this.
People's Pharmacy, for all your pharmaceutical, skin and body care needs. Located on Grenville Street in Kingstown. They open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Saturday. Call them today at 784-456-1170. People's Pharmacy also stock vitamins and supplements, personal care items, toiletries, children and adult pampers, and much, much more. And of course, get your prescriptions filled by a friendly and professional pharmacist. People's Pharmacy. Come in today and let us serve you.
Yes. So I was adding that, do you know, walnuts and dark chocolate are excellent at boosting your nitrate level. Dark Vincentian chocolate. Once you're eating milk chocolate, it loses a lot of its sting, a lot of its real feel. Vincentian dark chocolate is excellent. I will recommend it. Yes, it may taste a little differently, but boy, when you start to continue eating that, you know, your tongue, like, it changes. Your tongue falls in love, you know? So these are some important things I've mentioned to you. And I don't know if persons have really caught it on. We've been finding that there are a number of things that cause dementia, Alzheimer's. And a number of them may be in combination with each other. But for sure, the discovery that nitric oxide is important in your brain. And if your level drops and is diminished, then over a period of time, it won't happen suddenly, over a period of time, over a period of several years, it hastens the development of Alzheimer's and dementia. You know? In addition, there are lots of other foods that I have not mentioned. I want you to look them up. I want you to Google it. I want you to Google nitric oxide and just check it out. And you'll be surprised of all the stuff that's now on it. And I remember being a medical student in the 80s. And then a young doctor in the late 80s and early 90s if I went to private practice. And they hadn't discovered nitric oxide yet. They hadn't discovered it. And more importantly, we didn't quite understand how to properly deal with high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes. How can we prevent strokes? How can we prevent heart attacks? How can we prevent these things? And this really has to be a crusade. And this information, albeit 25 years, is now coming out. It's now coming out party for nitric oxide. And, you know, I want to encourage persons to grow their own vegetables. What's wrong with growing some celery and some, you know, some kale? What's wrong with that? This is easy to grow. What's wrong with having some broccoli? I don't know how great it is to grow beet, but why not? Why not some radishes? Now, spinach grows all over the place. Get a spinach vine. Get the green one, get the red one. And see, you know, how that is going to affect you. And the fruits I mentioned, pomegranate, mango, a lot of things are really excellent for your diet and your health, and you should be eating a lot of those things. Now, they've found some very fascinating things during COVID. Many of you may remember the term, maybe you won't. It's called a cytokine storm. Kamal, do you remember it? Huh? Or we've forgotten about all that? Huh? Yes, a lot of people forgot. But do you know there are a number of diseases that end up with a cytokine storm? These diseases is where your immune system starts going wild, starts behaving like a bull in a china shop. It starts to butt and bash everything around it. That's not good. And even though you have to have your defenses, you have to know your allies. You have to know really how food is working on you. Well, the problem here is that, you know, there are lots of vegetables that you have to choose from. And as you eat these things, as soon as it gets into your mouth, there are germs, there are bacteria, germs all throughout your intestine that will convert the nitrate in food to the good stuff, the nitric oxide. And when the nitric oxide is available, it's going to do all the things that I've said. I want you to understand that men, by the age of 50, their nitric oxide levels start to drop. It can start going until 60. Women, on the other hand, by the age of 65, their nitric oxide level also starts to drop. So women, they will have high blood pressure as well. They will have other problems. And you have to watch out for this. Now, I remember I was saying how the immune system, especially part of the immune system in the intestine, is controlled by nitric oxide. We know this. And by having adequate amount of nitric oxide and nitrates to make the nitric oxide, then boy, it's one good thing. It helps to prevent your body from overreacting to infections, whether viral infection, bacterial infection. A lot of people like that, you know. You know, inside their body, they outside they're smiling, but inside their body is just going crazy. The immune system is going crazy. And it's important that some persons know a little about this. We don't have any cause, but I want persons to read up on nitric oxide. I want you to read it. You'll probably see it on YouTube. You probably see it pop up in your social media. I want you to read it and get a much better picture about what is taking place inside your body, because that is going to help. And, it's important. Kamal, let's just take another break again.
People's Pharmacy for all your pharmaceutical, skin, and body care needs. Located on Grenville Street in Kingstown. They open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Saturday. Call them today at 784-456-1170. People's Pharmacy also stock vitamins and supplements, personal care items, toiletries, children and adult pampers, and much, much more. And of course, get your prescriptions filled by a friendly and professional pharmacist. People's Pharmacy. Come in today and let us serve you.
You know, isn't it amazing that it's only been 25 years or so that we have picked up on this whole subject of nitric oxide? And a lot of people still don't know a lot about it. A lot of doctors don't know about it. But today, social media, YouTube allows you as an individual to look it up and read about it. So if a doctor will talk later to you about it, you already have a bit of information. You've asked certain questions. Well, what's the spelling of this word? Or what does this word mean? I never heard that one before. And once you start doing that, you are gearing yourself up to, you're really getting a lot of information by going online. I know a lot of online stuff these days being criticized. It's what people are spending time online. But boy, it's like going to the bathroom, going to the kitchen, preparing yourself something. Similarly, it's good to prepare yourself some knowledge. And now, on social media, you could learn how to bake, how to make a wedding dress, how to build a bridge, how to do all sorts of things with the internet. So I'm never worried about that. It's just that it's those times when you are getting into some mischief and cyberbullying and all that sort of thing. That's bad. But I'm making the point that technology has moved on so much that we're now able to get far more information, content on any subject, and I think that's good. Kamala said we don't have any questions. I don't know. This is not a sexy subject. You know what I mean? And I think it's unfortunate, but I am sadly going to be repeating this non-sexy subject often because I am convinced that if people become finally aware that some of these foods that they eat are bad and some are actually excellent, and you've heard me mention it, radishes, beet, and spinach are excellent. Matter of fact, all around, all week long. And they will boost your nitrate level. So these foods contain high amount of nitrates. They also contain high amount of antioxidants that help that when the nitric oxide is formed from the nitrates is converted to nitric oxide in your body. And that nitric oxide is going to help with your heart pumping properly, your blood vessels opening up. You feeling a little good, a lot better in bed, and all the other things I've been speaking about. And I want everybody to really learn just a little tiny bit more, a little piece of knowledge about nitric oxide. It'll go a long way, Now, there are a lot of other substances that are deficient. You heard me talk about nitric oxide this evening. It's only been something like Okay, let's take this call. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good night. How are you, Tamu?
Not too bad, not too bad.
That's Garden from Chateau.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
so you're getting no questions tonight.
I'm not getting no questions tonight. Yes.
Is everything good?
Things good. Things good.
Let me say good night to Mr. Cameron also.
So you're giving me a little shout, is that it?
Yeah, just asking a question.
Okay, go ahead. Go ask the question then. Yeah.
What are causing a man prostate to be enlarged?
Oh. God, boy,
You hear me?
yes, I hear you. I hear you. You call me. You throw a googly question at me, man. You know what I mean? All right.
I used to get googly ball, you know.
I know,
Okay.
man. You listen offline.
Listen
Offline. Yeah.
I listen offline. Thanks, sir.
Now,
All right.
listen. That caller has asked an important question. Is it another topic that we should be talking about more frequently? And I'm proud of that caller because you know what? Men don't usually ask questions like that. These things are a little bit too private, they suffer and everything like that. Now, there are 3 conditions that we know affect the prostate. 3 conditions affect the prostate. The first one is, do you know you can have an infection or inflammation of the prostate called prostatitis? Prostatitis. There's sometimes some germs and so forth, or sometimes there are chemicals that get into the prostate and cause it to swell a little bit. So, hear what? The prostate gets a little larger, but it's because the prostate is inflamed. And if I were to ever feel the gentleman's prostate, boy, it would be tender. That's prostatitis. It's usually an infection or some sort of chemical that's there that's causing an inflammation, and want us to worry about that. Usually, it could be easily treated. Just drinking a whole ton of water is helpful. Sometimes, if the germ is one of those that could be treated with antibiotics, then take the antibiotics by all means. The second one is that somehow, as men age, their prostate naturally gets larger. And as a result, men's prostate can become huge. It takes a long time. But if the prostate, I want you to understand, if the prostate is growing and getting bigger, I want you to understand that there's a tube that passes through the prostate and out into your penis. A tube that passes through the prostate out to your penis. On top of that tube is attached the bladder. So the bladder gets water out of the body through a tube passing through the penis. That's fine. Boy, but when the prostate starts getting larger, unfortunately, it doesn't just get larger on the outside. The tube that's passing through it starts getting squeezed as well. And if it gets squeezed, let me use this. If it gets squeezed and narrower and narrower and narrower, somehow it could even get blocked off. And then a person has stoppage of water. Then the urine cannot pass out from the bladder through the penis to the outside. It's a serious problem. But the third way that somebody can have an enlarged prostate, and caller, I'm pretty sure that's not the way it's affecting you, is if there's something growing inside the prostate. If there's something growing inside the prostate. So let me say again. Prostatitis is in an inflamed prostate. you can say almost an infected prostate. And that will make the prostate bigger, but it will also make it very tender. And if a doctor was to do a finger up the back passage to feel it, if you had prostatitis, you will jump off the bed. You will jump off the bed. The next one I talked about was an enlarged prostate. We call it benign prostatic hypertrophy, a long word, BPH. Well, what's happening there, too, is that the whole prostate has gotten enlarged, not a part of it. The whole prostate has gotten enlarged. And because it's getting larger on the outside, it's also getting larger on the inside. So it is causing a reduction in the space passing through the water. It could lead to stoppage of water. It could lead to all sorts of problems. And then I mentioned to you that there could be something, a small thing, getting to a big thing, growing inside the penis, inside the prostate itself. This is prostate cancer, caller. And I want to suggest to you that if you have a friend who is in that position, make sure they get to the doctor. There are tests that could be done to detect exactly what is going on. And it will go a long way by making a diagnosis, find out what's really wrong, and we could then take the best action possible. So that question that called up is really good. An enlarged prostate can be caused by three things: an infection, an age-related natural growth of the prostate, and also there could be a tumor, prostate cancer growing inside the tube. I want to encourage all men to start going and getting those tests done. Don't give up. Get those tests done. Kamara?
Maybe I can ask a question while you were talking about nitric oxide.
Yeah.
You mentioned foods like beets,
Luncheon meat. Beet, or the good stuff.
the good stuff.
Beet, radishes, spinach. Yeah.
What about there's this plant? No, the moringa.
Moringa. Yes.
The moringa.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Is there any benefits as towards like nitric oxide, and it might have the antioxidants or something inside?
Yes. Moringa is one of the fascinating food. Not only are the leaves good, the flower is good. Of course, that long peed part is good. The bark is good. The root is good. It's amazing how from one plant you could really get so much. Moringa, I don't have the exact value of how much nitrate it would have, but it will fall in the same category like some of those others I mentioned, such as spinach and celery and, a lot of other seafoods, a lot of other leafy vegetable foods, that will have in similar things to moringa. But moringa has so many different broad range of things. And when we talk about nitrate levels, it may not be super high, but I would prefer, if you're looking for nitrate, go with radishes, go with beet, go with spinach. And afterwards, broccoli, leafy green, pomegranate, mango, all these things are excellent, time seems to be moving real slow today. Sometimes you're on a program and the time is moving so fast, you wonder where 15 minutes has gone. Time has been moving very, very slow. But thank you very much for that caller there, Now, we have our favorite foods. We all do. There's some foods that you could try and strive to make your favorite. Yeah? Yeah. Sweet potato is good in terms of fiber and so. Solid fiber, actually nutrition. But boy, these radishes, beet, and spinach, very high nitric level. Broccoli, leafy greens, pomegranates, also high. Then things like garlic, eggplant, all these things are moderately high. Walnuts. I can't remember what type of nut this is, but walnuts are excellent. Then dark chocolate, red wine, and of course, honey, the best type of meat, that is fish and poultry, and also cantaloupe and watermelon. These will certainly go a long way. What I've tried to do this evening is to introduce you to the subject of nitric oxide. I may not come back and talk about this for several months, but I want you to make absolutely sure you know enough about it. You may find something you're reading and it may be a bit too technical, or you may find something else that's a bit too simple. But read up on the vegetables and fruits that are good in nitric oxide level, and please start to push to see how things can be improved, And I can assure you that persons with high blood pressure, persons with badly controlled diabetes, persons who are starting to develop Alzheimer's or dementia of some form, that this will go a long way. This will go a long way in trying to really help. I said fried vegetables are better than raw, but raw vegetables is much better than all these other processed foods that we're having. Stay away from the processed food. Vegetables are going to produce about 80% of all the nitrates that we cater for. But just really learn which foods or which other foods contain nitric oxide. Also foods with antioxidants, vitamin C, vitamin E, vitamin A. Great, excellent, wonderful. It's going to be important that you pick up a magazine, a book, and read about it, or go online. Some people may not like to do these sort of things online, but just go online and search in Google and find out a little more about this nitric oxide, how it's produced. And ladies and gentlemen, I think that it will go a long way. I am taking a break now and see you next week. Do enjoy as we get into the Christmas season. Have we started getting Christmas ads yet already? A bit too early? Are we having 9 mornings this year? I hope so, of course. Yes. Well, once again, all the very best to everybody, all the listeners. Have a pleasant good evening and good night.
People's Pharmacy, for all your pharmaceutical, skin and body care needs. Located on Grenville Street in Kingston.